Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. Another episode going into news and prophecy. All right, what we watch, all right, and report the things that are happening, all right, worldwide. And we link them to the Holy Scriptures, all right, so that ultimately the testimony can be presented before the judgment. As the Scriptures say, out of the mouth of two witnesses or three shall he that is worthy of being put to death be put to death. And ultimately that's why the two witnesses who have the testimony have been raised up in these latter days. All right, the elect of Judah and Ephraim, all right, the 12 tribes of Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, as well as those of you, all right, who are a result of a scattering, a speckled bird, all right, as we're going to look like, all right, talk like, all right, and come out of many different nations, all right. But the bottom line is that the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all right, has awakened pursuant to a promise that was made to Abraham, and through the blood of Yahweh Shai, we now have access back through the Holy Spirit, Rachakwadash, and we're standing up on our feet as a great spiritual army, preaching and prophesying, tearing down strongholds which exalt themselves against the righteousness of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and one of the strongholds that this world has hanged on to, in particular the biblical Edomites, all right, who have hidden under many, names, using pseudoscience, all right, witchcraft, to hide themselves. As the scriptures say, in the latter days, they will be unveiled, they will be uncovered, they will be stripped bare, and it will be nothing that they can do. All right. Clearly, we're at the end of Esau's world. Their own tongues are falling upon themselves. All right. The two witnesses are ultimately bringing out the truth of the matter. But you also have, all right, those who are in this world who see things for what they are and who are fed up with the hypocrisy, all right, of these people, all right, who have been wiggling around the earth under the banner of being, all right, the true JEWs, the you wish people, okay, which clearly through prophecy and through the truth going out, we see that those people being there in that land, all right, arguing back and forth, bombing the shit out of each other, is a clear indicator that the true seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as a whole, both northern and southern kingdom, haven't been gathered back to that land. Because when the true Israelites get gathered back to that land, there's going to be, all right, authority of the throne of David set up on earth, which is going to lead to peace. Wouldn't be any more wars. But as we see, there's nothing but wars, rumors of wars, destruction, death. All right, and you have these people, all right, who are getting called out, all right, who are being cross-examined as there's an inquisition going out, which these devils are on the ropes. Now, I have a few articles, I have a few videos that I wanted to play here. This video here, Barbados Prime Minister's extraordinary attack on Netanyahu, not a Jew, for selective use, all right, of Bible in UN Janta Ka reporter, all right. And also when this dude started talking, all right, a lot of people got up and left. Okay, the vile man is no more being called liberal. Okay, the biblical Edomites in particular, all right, you American Edomites and these small hats, all right, the whole world, as it says in the book of Obadiah, you've become small among the heathen, all right, and you're becoming greatly despised. Okay, let's get that in the book of Obadiah. Obadiah chapter 1, And 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. All right. NLT, the Lord says to Edom, I will cut you down to size among the nations. You will be greatly despised. See? And the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. All right. They never thought they would see the day where they would be challenged, called out. All right. No one ever thought they would see the day where America, where Israel, were the butt of every joke, called hypocrites. See? But we're seeing what's going to lead to World War III as we see these tensions, all right, between, Iran, Israel, all right, nothing but wars, rumors of wars, all right, but it will all lead to what the scriptures say, the least of the flock and their ill dealing is going to draw out these nations to war, all right, which Babylon, the great America, is a big supporter of Israel, and they are a part of being greatly despised. They're even becoming greatly despised of their own kind, as we'll show you, Lord willing, in some of these clips. Now, here in this video here, Barbados Prime Minister attacks Netanyahu, all right, for selective use of the Bible. Let's check this out.
As the book of Samuel says in the Bible, Netzach Israel lo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will not falter. It is the same Bible that tells us.
Now, before we watch this, all right, we know that these devils, all right, they haven't used, all right, their occupation of that portion of the Holy Land that they're in to magnify Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. As a matter of fact, the scriptures say in the book of Isaiah, the 26th chapter, okay, Isaiah 26, and let's see here. Let favor be shown unto the wicked. Give me 1 second. Okay, Isaiah 26 and 10. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's start at verse 9. It says, with my soul have I desired thee in the night, yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. The true children of Israel, they're seeking the Lord. For when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. And that will start at Jerusalem. See? Which right now you have these devils along with these, Arabs mixed with Elam over there, those Palestinians, in a portion of the Holy Land. They're not in a fulfillment of what was promised unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they're in a portion of the Holy Land that's associated with the territory given unto Judah, fighting, all right, after an agreement was made, okay? As the scriptures say, he keeps not his covenants. There was an agreement made between these Palestinians, all right, and these Edomites, all right, that you would occupy this portion of the land and you would occupy that portion of the land. But never was this current state of Israel, this Zionist, all right, rhetoric that you see, never was it used to forward the fear of the Lord, the righteousness of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. See? But when the true Israelites return to that land, the purpose and the goal is that the world learns righteousness. A government which is associated with the throne of David will be established when we return to that land. When thy judgments are on the earth, the inhabitants of the world are going to be forced to learn righteousness. Let favor be shown unto the wicked. See, and favor has been shown unto the wicked via a blessing given unto them by Isaac, where they would have the fatness of the world, ruled by the sword. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet he will not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness he will deal unjustly. It will not behold the majesty of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So he has not, all right, in the land of uprightness, over there in that region, they have not beheld the majesty of the Lord. They will take no notice of the majesty of the Lord. As a matter of fact, the book of Psalms, all right, the 50, I believe it's Psalms 50, if I'm not mistaken. Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked God said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? You said that you're the Israelites. Okay? This goes to the wicked of our people, but this is also to the wicked, all right, you Edomites, who you're supposed to be the chosen people, right? Okay? Seeing thou hatest instruction and casted my words behind thee. You got this power and you haven't used the Bible as a means to govern, as a means to, push righteousness. When you saw a thief, you consentest with him and has been partaker with adulterers. The biggest adulterer that the state of Israel has been partakers with is America. You haven't used the Bible to correct America. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thou framest, all right, and thou tongue framest deceit. Your mouth is filled with wickedness, and your tongue is full of lies. So here it is, all of a sudden, all right, as this war is breaking out and they're being called out, they're using the Bible to justify what they're doing.
As the book of Samuel says in the Bible, Netzach Israel lo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will not falter. It is the same Bible that...
Now we're going to listen to that video, but check this out. Okay? Let's not forget that Netanyahu used a passage in the book of Deuteronomy, the 25th chapter, to justify what he's doing to the Palestinians. Right? And this back and forth, these started long before October the 7th. All right. What happened October the 7th, which we don't take any side, we're just reporting the news. What happened on October 7th, all right, is a result of all kinds of wickedness that has been going on between, all right, the Israelis and the Palestinians, all right, for years. Okay. But again, we're dealing with American media, so they're not going to bring out the whole story. Anyway, this is an article as court decides on genocide charge, because the people, all right, over in Israel and in different parts of the world, they're trying to call Netanyahu up on war crimes. All right, as court decides on genocide charge, which they're not going to charge him. All right, Netanyahu's use of biblical passage hunts him. Okay. Now let's go to let's read a little bit of this. I'm just going to read some of this and get back to the video. I'm just get to the point. Netanyahu urged troops preparing to enter Gaza by saying, "Remember what Amalek has done unto you," says your Bible. Right? Now they want to use the Bible, but they're using it to justify, all right, mass murder, man. These people are wicked, man. Remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible, a reference to a biblical command in which God gave the Israelites permission to destroy an enemy known as the Amalekites. And we do remember, said Netanyahu. Now, when you go to that scripture real quick, in Deuteronomy, the 25th chapter, and the 17th verse, all right, the Lord commands Moses, he said, look, remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when we were come forth out of Egypt. So here it is. They're declaring that they're the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They have a standing military, and they're fighting, all right, using military weapons over land, justifying, fighting back over what happened unto them. But here it is. We can't even stand on the street corner without being pestered by the likes of Vocab Malone and all of you anti-Messiah so-called Christians using your platforms to come up against the Israelites. But this is cool. Nobody questions this. I just wanted to put this out here. No one is questioning this total hypocrisy. Okay? Where's Vocab Malone's video of this coming against this man for using the Bible to justify war crimes? See? Remember what Amalek. So what they're doing is they're calling those Arabs Edomites. And they have a history of trying to put Esau, because the Amalekites are who? They're Edomites. But here it is. They're saying, remember what Amalek did unto you, telling you that, look, we're justified in taking these Palestinian, these Arabs down, because look, they're Amalekites. And in the Bible, God gave us permission to remember what they did and take vengeance. Okay? Deuteronomy 25:17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee, by the way, when you were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee. Let's read it in the NLT. They attacked you when you were exhausted and weary, and they struck down those who were straggling behind. They had no fear of the Most High. So when we were being exodused out of Egypt, the Amalekites, our arch enemies who were Edomites, right? They attacked us. They attacked the elderly, the children, right? You had Edomites who wouldn't allow us to go through a particular part of the land to get to the promised land. They were giving us complete hell. So the Lord is like, look, remember this. Mind you, this is 2 chapters over from Deuteronomy 23:7, where it says, abhor not an Edomite, which we broke that down. It's really talking about Assyrian. But anyway, therefore it shall be, when the Lord has given you rest from all thine enemies round about in the land which thy God given thee for an inheritance, that thou should blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget. So when we get the kingdom, this is going to be fulfilled. When we get the kingdom, after that 1,000 years, all right, the scriptures tell you there's not going to be any remaining of the house of Esau. Amalek, all right, is the head of Esau. Amalek, all right, are these people, all right, who are calling themselves the holy people. And again, as you can see, the hypocrisy. They're saying basically, this is our inheritance, and we have the right to blot these people out, ethnically cleanse them out, all under the guise of being the chosen people, all under the guise of the Bible. But the whole time, this is but an extension, all right, of British colonization. That's all this whole thing was ever about. Okay? And now they're being called out. So let's watch this video as this Barbados Prime Minister has a pretty deep voice, attacks him for his use of the Bible, which she don't know the Bible either, but we're living in a time where these people are getting called out, man.
As the book of Samuel says in the Bible, Netzach Israel lo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will not falter. It is the same Bible that tells us in the stories of the Old Testament, much which has guided many people across this world. But when we turn from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is Romans that says to us, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, not any country, not any human being.
Right, and I was thinking of somebody else with a deep voice, Salakia. I was looking at something else earlier. I may play that video too, but as you can see here, the Bible says vengeance is the Lord's. Nowhere in the Bible are we justified in getting the land, all right, by war. Now, under the first covenant, the Lord did use Joshua, Caleb, all right, the angel following them to take down these nations. All right, but what we just read was a future prophecy, okay, because Amalek hasn't been blotted from under heaven. That's going to happen in the kingdom, all right, but again, she's right. Vengeance is the Lord's. I thought the Bible said vengeance is the Lord's. So where is the big, all right, influx of you so-called Christians, you anti-Messiah monsters, okay, who call evil good and good evil? Here it is, you're coming up against us as wicked and evil, and we got to figure out how to stop these Israelites. But this is what's going on in the world right now. Children are being bombed. Hospitals are being bombed. They'll bomb whole facilities, all right, under the guise we thought that one of the Hamas terror people were in this building. They'll bomb the whole building, and then they'll go in and say, well, none of them were in there. But what about the innocent people that you bombed? See, and again, going back here in this article, people are calling him out for that shit, man. The destruction of Palestinian life is an articulated state policy. All right. They are committed to eliminating this evil from the world. So here it is. There. He's at the UN. He's at this meeting talking about using the book of Samuel. With all the power that they have, why ain't the book of Samuel being taught, all right, in the schools? Anyway, after arguments were made, Netanyahu's staffers tried to argue that the Amalekites in this situation are Hamas fighters, not the Palestinian people in Gaza. Well, they're all the same race. So one group is just the Amalekites because they made you mad, but the rest, who are they? These people got to go, man. And Palestine goes back to the word Philistine because it was the Philistines had control of that land at one point, but David got them up out of there. Not the Palestinian people in Gaza. They also noted in a statement that the phrase, remember what Amalek has done unto you, can be found in Israel's Yad Vashem Hollow, all right, Memorial Museum and other hollow memorials. You see that word there, all right? The problem with this response is that at the point of the Amalek episode is that Yahweh directs the Israelite army to avenge an attack by the desert tribe by leaving nothing living in their territory. In the Hebrews Bible's first book of Samuel, Moses is commanded to go and strike Amalek and utterly destroy all that he has and do not spare him, right? And that they were supposed to do that back then as well, but it's going to be fulfilled in the kingdom, all right? Because Saul was supposed to do it, but he didn't do it, so Samuel did it. Okay, you can read that history when you get a chance. It says, and do not spare him, but put to death both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. So they're using that command to fulfill it now through their military. See? The Reverend Munther Isaac, pastor of the Lutheran Christmas Church in Bethlehem, goodness gracious, these people got to be stopped. An academic dean at Bethlehem Bible College rejects the application of the text to modern warfare. It's horrifying, he said, adding that religious texts should be used to promote peace and justice, not genocide. See that? Now they're justified in this. Okay? They're justified in this, all right, by Vocab Malone, who says they have the right to defend themselves. But see, we don't have the right to stand on a corner and do videos defending ourselves and say we're the chosen people. Anyway, let's get back to this.
So that the Bible can't be used as a convenient aid when it suits us and rejected when it doesn't.
See that?
Mr. President, above all else, we need a global reset on peace.
Well, damn, that voice did get deep.
There needs to be global peace. And those of us who are old enough would have recognized that there are peaks and valleys as it relates to this issue of conflict. There are few areas where the world is more in need of the United Nations acting as the United Nations to secure the objectives of the Charter than in the area of the peace and security. The silence that has engulfed Sudan is unacceptable and may well be rooted in the racism that the world still carries as a badge of honor from the victories of the last great war of the World War II. The actions in Myanmar cannot continue. Ukraine has sucked more oxygen out of the global community and the global financial system than any of us can appropriately accept.
Yeah, Ukraine. Another country the U.S. is supporting, sending aid to. All right, here it is. You Americans, all right, you just had a flood, and your president ain't acting to get you aid and going crazy, but he's sending billions to Ukraine, billions to Israel, for the purpose of war, for the purpose of proxies, for the purpose of stirring things up and justifying being the devil. Right in your face. There was a video that showed a side-by-side of Biden okay, saying we got to immediately get aid to Israel. Then they asked him about aid to the flood victims. He said, we're working on it. We got to figure it out. See?
At the very time when the world needs to be applying its resources and efforts to fight in the greatest crisis known to mankind. And the spread of the war from Gaza to the...
And see, but what's happening is speaking to prophecy. Like, we need to be using our resources to bring about peace, right? But here it is, all y'all about is war. Well, that's prophetic. Joel, the 3rd chapter. See, everything is happening according to prophecy. But again, within the whole grand scheme of things, right is right and wrong is wrong. That's all we're set up to bring out. Joel chapter 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. All right, let's read this in the NLT. Say to the nations, Joel 3 and 9, far and wide, get ready for war. Call out your best warriors. Let all your fighting men advance for the attack. All right. Hammer your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Train even your weaklings to be warriors. See, they're drafting. You got these drafts going on. Okay, well, so these nations are no longer, using their resources for the purpose of agriculture and fixing the economy. And no, it's for war purposes because things are getting ready to happen pursuant to what prophecy says. Okay, train your weaklings to be warriors. When you look at what's happening in China, Russia, Japan, these different North Korea, they're training up their men for the purpose of warfare. But you look at the spirit the Lord put on the West, right? They're training up their men to be sodomites and cross-dressers, okay? And weaklings, man. Right, as you can see here, America isn't ready for another war because it doesn't have any troops, which goes into prophecy. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. That fighting, that General Patton spirit is no longer in America. Okay? You can read that article, but hey, they're all dying. Nobody's joining. All right? 3 of America's 4 major military services failed to recruit enough service members in 2023. The Army has failed to meet its manpower goals for the last 2 years and missed its 2023 target by 10,000 soldiers, a 20% shortfall. All right. Today, the active duty Army stands at, 445,000 soldiers, 41,000 fewer than 2021. It's the smallest it's been since 1940. The Navy and Air Force missed their recruiting goals. All right. And the Navy failing across the board. The Marine Corps was only the only service to achieve its target. All right, yada, yada, yada. You can keep reading it. But this place is wide open for judgment. See? Anyway, she's calling for peace. She's saying y'all using all of y'all resources for war. Okay? Sucking up all of the money. Why not use it for peace? Because they're not about peace. Okay? The man of sin was created. All right? The scriptures say the Lord hath created the wicked for the day of evil. They're not going to operate in a fair manner. See?
Consequences in the West Bank to know clearly what is happening in Lebanon as we speak with Israel. All of these are but the tip of an iceberg of death, violence, and instability, and robs the global community of oxygen and resources at the very time when we need it most in a strategic way. We all know, as students of history, that even the longest war in history came to an end. These wars, yes, they too will come to an end. But the question is when and at what cost, and without much loss of life. With how many children not being able to be either given the chance to live or will now live with memories of war that will affect their every action for the next 60, 70, 80 years of their lives. Innocent people are paying the price with the one thing that is theirs to give, and they don't give it willingly. it is their life. Unless we address the root causes of these wars, one by one, and the manners in which they are being sustained and financed, we will never know anything else other than war and rumors of war in these theaters. The transmittal of these scenes of horror in real time into people's bedrooms, into people's living rooms, will trigger two extreme reactions, neither of which are acceptable to us in the third decade of the 21st century. We will either get the desensitizing of ordinary people to the loss of lives, especially those of innocent children and women on the one hand, or we will get, on the other hand, the anger and inclination for vengeance that it spawns necessarily. We need peace, and it cannot be too difficult for us to work for peace. It is the same Bible that tells us in the stories of the Old Testament, much which has guided many people across this world. But when we turn from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is Romans that says to us, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, not any country, not any human being. So that the Bible can't be used as a convenient aid when it suits us and rejected when it doesn't. In the midst of this maelstrom, we were very clear. My country took the step this year of recognizing and establishing diplomatic relations with the state of Palestine, in spite of having supported a two-state solution since 1969.
See, they supported. It was supposed to be a two-state solution. But again, as the scriptures say, he breaks his covenants. Let's find that. All right. Psalms 55. And 20, he hath put forth his hand such against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. He did that to the so-called Native Americans. I mean, time and time again. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil. See, and now he's being called out. Okay? Let's get and this is all off of the backs of the awakening of the elect that these people are calling these devils out. Okay? This is the book of Isaiah 32:4. Even the hotheads, NLT, will be full of sense and understanding. Those who stammer will speak out plainly. This is the elect being raised up. Okay? The hotheads, the rash. That's what Jake is known as here in this world, right? But they're going to awake out of that dead state and speak plainly. Okay? It says, the vile person shall no more be called liberal, and the churl said to be bountiful. Okay? NLT, in that day, ungodly fools will not be heroes. These people were supposed to be the heroes. They have used their pseudoscience to put themselves at the top, all right, the very top of the nations. When you look at the whole IQ intelligence quotients garbage, which is pseudoscience, where they use, all right, these particular testing methods, which is all centered around witchcraft to even the SATs that, and if you take this test and you don't meet this score, then that means you're dumb. Well, they use IQ tests to sterilize, to exterminate, all right, nations of people. Right? The bell curve. All right. But at the who has the highest IQ of all of the nations in the planet Earth? The Amalekites, the small hats. But when you look out into the earth, it does not, all right, look like the results of a liberal, all right, righteous man. Because what does the word liberal mean? Let's get it here real quick. Liberal, generous, noble, nobly born, noble, free. See, they use the term liberal, all right, and this whole liberal ideology as a means to really, to set you people up to destroy yourselves. Do as thou wilt under the guise of freedom and liberties, and we should respect everybody's this and that. It's just a ploy to bring confusion. Okay? The vowed man will no longer be called liberal, selfless. They're starting to see, all right, because it could also be in a bad sense, extravagant, unrestrained, all right, but it's supposed to mean generous, noble, fair, selfless. But see, the vowed man is no longer being called selfless. See, he's being called thief out. okay, by these nations. Right? Is not this biblical prophecy?
And we did this because it is clear to us that the state and people of Palestine, human beings, are entitled to full recognition by integration into and support from the international community. The Charter does not say we the people, with the exception of any one group from any one part of the world. We join with others, therefore, in congratulating the state of Palestine in taking their seat among the United Nations member states as they did on the 10th of September of this year. And let me be clear, we condemn the actions of Hamas on October 7th. But we equally and strongly deplore the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, which is the result of the disproportionate use of force by Israel. There's no justification for it. And that is why treaties exist governing the rules of engagement for war. Because we as human beings learned better and know better and committed to better. A two-state solution, no matter how elusive it may appear to be now, is the only answer. And I've said already this week that we have known difficult battles in mankind's history. But when we were in it, we didn't think we could achieve it, but we did. We abolished.
Yeah, they've been supposed to have. If there's a two-state solution, then why is there still war? See, again, this goes back to that prophecy, which we brought it out. We always bring it out. Okay, the true people ain't in that land. Ezekiel 36:5. Okay, therefore, thus saith the Lord, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, all right, with all the joy of their hearts, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. It's just nothing but war. See, when the true children of Israel get in that land, right, first of all, it's not going to just be the Jews. It's going to be, all right, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, all right, which is the southern kingdom, all right, and Ephraim and his companions, which is the northern kingdom. They're going to be united and brought back to that land in fashion. New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Okay, and it's going to be for the purpose of peace being set up all throughout the planet Earth. Micah, the 4th chapter. Okay, the Lord's future reign, the peaceful latter days. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain, the government of the house of Yahweh, shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow to it. And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So the word of the Lord is going to go forth from Jerusalem. Not these policies that are associated with democracy, all right, or this or that, okay? The laws of Zionism are not in line with the Bible, okay? Okay? Israel is a parliamentary democracy consisting of legislative, executive, and judicial branches. So it's an extension of the beast system. Its institutions and presidency, the government, yada, yada, yada. There you go. It's a democracy. So what scripture is that? That a democracy is going to be set up when the true Israelites get to their land? No, the law of the Lord is going to go forth of Zion. See? The Lord's teachings will go from Zion, the laws. These heathen will be subject to the laws when the throne of David is set up. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Ain't gonna be no more war. So what is this? Who is this? What's going on? Huh? It's one in, I believe, Psalms 45. Forget where it's at. Yep. Psalms 46:9. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth, and breaketh the bow. He cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. So ain't gonna be no more war. So what is this? What's going on here? What's she complaining about?
Slavery. We removed apartheid in South Africa. These battles are not beyond our creativity, our capacity, and our resilience to resolve them. Similar.
And the Lord's going to resolve it all. Okay? Ain't going to be no peace brought to this current world.
If you could address them, what would be your message to the Israeli people?
You know, in the Muslim and the Arab world, we sort of have been taking it as a truism, you know, for years, that the United States basically serves Israel, that America is controlled by Zionists, and that the U.S. government will do anything, no matter how much it costs, to save and protect Israel. I think there's a lot of Israelis who probably think that way too. But an objective, rational assessment of the situation would paint a very different picture. I think Israelis need to recognize, if they don't already, that the United States is not your savior. It's your worst enemy. The U.S., whether you know it or not, and whether Muslims understand it or not, is actually treating Israel the same way that they treat everyone else, with complete contempt. I mean, look, they are supporting Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the most unpopular, the most despised, the most corrupt, the most incompetent, the most psychopathic, delusional, and despotic ruler that Israel has ever had. And he's responsible for both prolonging and worsening the conflict with the Palestinians. Netanyahu has made a career on diverting attention away from the internal domestic concerns that actually matter to Israeli citizens, that matter the most to Israeli citizens, by endlessly talking about security and the supposed threat that Israel faces. And of course, the domestic problems in Israel just get worse. And the
American media helps push that narrative. See that? Which only has justified slaughter, war. All right? And your government is sending these people all kind of aid, but look at what's happening to you over here. People are broke. People are the inflation is destroying people. The gas prices. People are depressed over here, destroyed, hurt, which is all judgment.
Conflict and the security situation actually just gets worse. And America loves it. They don't care about Israel's domestic issues. They don't care about the socioeconomic issues, the socioeconomic concerns that Israelis have, the high cost of living, the disparity between rich and poor. They don't care about corruption in Israeli society and so on. And these are the predominantly these are the issues that matter the most to Israeli citizens, to Israeli voters. But as far as America is concerned, the only thing that matters is continuing the strife and conflict. That's all they care about. They don't care about the welfare and the stability of Israel, the safety of Israeli citizens. You see, Israeli citizens want to treat Israel like an actual country, and they expect it to behave like an actual country. And they think that their lives and their concerns should matter, like they would in an actual country. But to the United States, Israel is a policy instrument. So the Israeli population doesn't matter to them. And what matters to the Israeli population doesn't matter to them. The relationship with the United States has been incredibly detrimental to Israel, despite what everyone thinks. It has prevented Israel from becoming a normal society. Now, part of that is driven by diaspora Jews in the U.S., who, like most diaspora communities, are generally far more radical and ideological than their people back home. And this diaspora community in the West, particularly in the United States, makes a huge amount of money exploiting Jewish emotional attachment to Israel, getting them to fund pro-Israeli lobbies and so on, which mostly just makes a handful of American Jews very rich. But it's mostly driven by U.S. policy interests and the utility of Israel as a vehicle for an endless flow of cash to American defense companies, and as a sort of offshore research and development hub for the Pentagon. The U.S.
God damn. People who just read it. God damn. Shit, I'm still mad at him when they beat the Sonics that year. And they had the ball screaming. But yeah, he R.I.P. But look what he was pushing that juice. He was pushing that juice. Anyway, let's go back. It was something I was looking for.
Does not want and has never wanted for Israel to be at peace with their neighbors. They've never wanted Israel to integrate into the region. That's not Israel's function as far as America is concerned. And it doesn't matter to them that this is the only way for Israel to ever actually become a normal society. It doesn't matter if this is in the interest of the Israeli population or not. They don't care. They're using you. They're using you, the Israelis. They're exploiting you. The Americans, the West, are using you. And it's absolutely against the interests of your people. Obviously, the only way for Israel to ever progress as a society is to dislodge themselves from the United States, from the West, and to integrate properly into the region. Until they do that, none of their domestic issues will ever be resolved. They'll never even be addressed. Until they do that, they will never be allowed to do anything but be a policy tool of the U.S. and lose both their lives and their souls in the process. I mean, they're making you do things that are against your beliefs as Jews. They're making you do things that are against your own humanity. They're pushing you to do things that make the world see you as monsters. And more specifically, you're being seen as monsters by the people who are in that part of the world where you are. Properly, Israel should be a global South country. It should be a Middle Eastern country, and it should share the values and the priorities of the global South and the Middle East. But because it was a Western colonialist project from the beginning, and because it continues to operate exclusively as a colonialist project.
You see that? Now, what he just said, many people don't know that. Listen to what he said. This was a Western colonial project. It was never about setting up, all right, the throne of David or righteousness being established or the true Israelites returning home. They hid it under that. But listen to what he just said. It's a colonialist. Let's slow it down a little bit. Yeah. What we need.
You're being seen as monsters by the people who are in that part of the world where you are. Properly, Israel should be a global South country. It should be a Middle Eastern country, and it should share the values and the priorities of the global South and the Middle East. But because it was a Western colonialist project from the beginning, and
hear that? It was a Western colonial, the British. It was just an extension of, all right, the British colonialism, which is why, all right, as you can see here, they're calling for the ethnic cleansing of these people.
it was a Western colonialist project from the beginning, and because it continues to operate exclusively as a colonialist project, it is seen as, it is perceived as, and it sees itself as a Western nation. And you're never going to be able to be a normal country going forward like that. The only real way forward is a one-state solution. Incorporate all of the occupied territories and all of the inhabitants.
The solution is the kingdom of heaven. All right, but does he be going in?
Of those territories into one country with equal citizenship rights. Yes, that will mean that Israel will have a Palestinian majority and it will no longer be a so-called Jewish state, but it can become a normal, healthy society.
Whew, man.
As we watch this view again over Tel Aviv, and you see what appear to be impacts now on the ground.
Look at that. It's supposed to be
Well,
peace
the role
over
of the
there.
United States is to unconditionally support whatever the Israeli government wants to do, and more specifically, Prime Minister Netanyahu. So I think that's our role, like it or not. That's where we stand. I think it's important to pause for a second and understand just really where we are now. You talked about escalation. Well, that's very definitely the case. The Israelis have now dramatically escalated their attacks on southern Lebanon. It looks as though these bombing runs are a preparation for a ground assault. And that's extremely important, because I think the real strategic inflection point will come with the Israeli invasion of southern Lebanon. Now, will that be a full-scale invasion or a series of short raids on the ground over the border? I have no idea. But I think the ground force is being ready to go in. And keep in mind that the reserve ground forces, in other words, those people that are only mobilized in the event of an emergency or war, the reservists are controlling Gaza, the reservists are controlling the West Bank, so that the so-called regulars, the core of the Israeli force, are up north. These are the best brigades, the best organizations.
Meanwhile, as this comment said, Americans are too busy with sports and Puff Daddy nasty ass.
And I think they're performing reconnaissance on the ground, battalion commanders, brigade commanders, looking at the approaches, where they'll go in and what they'll do. This is very important because, quite frankly, despite the enormous efforts undertaken from the air and with missiles against southern Lebanon, they really haven't succeeded in doing a great deal of damage to Hezbollah. Hezbollah is actually prepared for these assaults. And I think once the Israelis go in on the ground, that will probably be the trigger for Iran to take a greater hand. Thus far, Iran has stayed out of it, kept out of it. Iranians know that the Hezbollah fighters are extremely well armed and prepared. But once the Israelis commit on the ground, I think that will be judged as a turning point. Now, what does that mean? Will Iran jump in with both feet 100%? I don't know. The other thing is that from the vantage point of the United States, I think the U.S. armed forces are waiting for the ground assault before they actually engage in support of the Israelis. So that's why I think the idea of Israeli ground forces in southern Lebanon is very important. Now, we've had some interesting developments over the last 24 hours beyond just bombings. We now have Israeli aircraft, an F-15, at least one, that has landed in Cyprus because of damage inflicted on Israeli airfields. That's very important because both Hezbollah and Turkey have warned that if the Israelis utilize Cyprus, that they will regard that as part of the war zone. The Turks are, of course, extremely sensitive to Cyprus, as you know from the history down there. They will not be pleased at all that the Israelis are operating out of it. They were already very unhappy with the British use of Cyprus to support strikes in various places, but more important, the air defense operations that the Israelis mounted when they were under threat of attack by Iran. So I think we're reaching a strategic inflection point where this war really will go regional. It'll move beyond just Hezbollah in Israel or Houthis in Israel, but this could also include Iran and potentially others. At the same time, we should not lose sight of what's going on in Jordan, Syria, Iraq, and Egypt. I think that General Sisi's position in Egypt is very, very fragile. The Egyptian population is ready to essentially remove him. I think we could wake up and discover that the Egyptian army has taken him out of his office. Now, what does this mean? This means that despite our efforts to bribe the Egyptian government into silence and essentially compliance with whatever Israel wants to do, that the situation in Egypt could change dramatically.
See that? And all of you people supported America. You supported this Zion, you know, but now it's all turning against you. Now you want to call on God. No. All right. At the end of the day, watch this video. He's going into what this is going to lead to. But again, biblical prophecy. Jeremiah 50:45, therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purpose that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. This is the land of the Chaldeans. This is the modern day Babylon the Great. Okay. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Who's the least of the flock? All right, the state of Israel. When you look at this word least, this is what we're seeing. These small hats, all right, along with, you know, headed by this warmonger, not a Jew, are leading these nations. They're going to draw out all of these nations to war. The least of the flock, Tazayar, all right, Tazayar, little, insignificant, mean, youngest. And when you look at how this beast system was established, all right, the state of Israel, all right, was really a British occupation. Was really you know, the British established this. All right, so it was pretty much the youngest, the last. All right, but really it's just an extension of what the beast system was doing: colonizing, destroying, rape, robbing, and murdering. Okay? Point blank, period. Okay? The least of the flock. Let's see, here was something I remember seeing. There was a point where it said 1948 somewhere. Let's see. Yeah. The reference, I always thought that this was very interesting. You see that 1948 right there. All right. And then all you have to do is look up.
Was May 14th, 1948.
Yo, all the spirit, man. I just thought that always stands out to me. But anyway, we're seeing of the least of the flock drawing these nations out to war, just like the scriptures say, and it's going to lead to Babylon, America getting involved, their biggest supporter, and being destroyed, man. All right? We'll be back with more. Hopefully I will edify on to the next. Shalom.